Let's go Broncos! Something big is happening behind the scenes with the Denver Broncos, and I'm telling you right now, this could completely change the direction of the team in 2026. There are decisions being made that most fans aren't even noticing yet, battles that are already shaping the future of this roster, and trust me, some surprising names could be in danger while unexpected players are rising fast. This isn't just another offseason update. This is the kind of situation that can define whether the Broncos finally return to being a true contender or fall short once again. And what I'm about to reveal might catch a lot of people off guard. But before I break it all down, make sure you hit that like button right now if you truly believe this team is on the path back to the top. And I want to see something in the comments. Write this right now. Go Broncos! 2026 is our comeback year, if you're optimistic about what's coming. Because after what I'm about to tell you, you might start seeing this team very differently. Now let's get straight into it, because this is where things get interesting. According to the latest internal projections and discussions, the Broncos could have more roster spots up for grabs in 2026 than they did last year. That alone changes everything. It opens the door for rookies, depth players, and even under-the-radar contributors to fight their way into meaningful roles early. Starting at quarterback, the expectation is clear. Just 2 players on the active roster. Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham are projected to hold those spots, while Sam Ehlinger becomes more of a strategic piece. Someone the team can move between the practice squad and active roster without risk due to his veteran status. This is not just about talent, it's about maximizing flexibility across the entire roster. And that theme continues when you look at the running back room. Last season, the Broncos kept 4 backs, but this year, the projection leans heavily toward just 3. Why? Because every roster spot matters more now. With names like JK, RJ, and rookie Jonah Coleman in the mix, the idea is to keep only players who will be active on game day, while using the practice squad to maintain depth. Even the fullback role, with Adam Prentice, becomes part of that strategic balancing act. Then comes one of the most exciting groups on the entire roster, wide receiver. 5 names stand out: Courtland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Pat Bryant. That's a group loaded with talent, speed, and versatility. And once again, the Broncos seem committed to keeping just 5 receivers, following Sean Payton's consistent pattern. But there's a twist. The return game could influence that final decision, especially with questions surrounding how Marvin Mims will be utilized moving forward. At tight end, there's a clear shift happening. With Adam Troutman and Evan Engram locked in, the Broncos appear ready to refresh the rest of the room. The projection suggests 4 tight ends, with younger players like Donnell Washington and Justin Jolie potentially stepping into key roles while others may be pushed to the practice squad. This is about evolution, bringing in fresh energy and new skill sets. And in the trenches, where games are truly won and lost, stability is the name of the game. The starting offensive line remains intact, giving Bo Nix continuity and protection. Behind them, depth pieces like Alex Forsyth and Frank Crum have proven their value, while rookie additions like Cage Casey could secure immediate roster spots. The expectation? 9 offensive linemen, a strong, reliable unit. What stands out in all of this is the strategy. The Broncos aren't just picking the best players, they're building a flexible, adaptable roster. They're thinking ahead, using veteran rules, practice squad advantages, and positional value to create as many opportunities as possible across the board. And that brings us to the bigger question. With more roster spots open, more rookies pushing for roles, and a clear shift in roster building philosophy, are we about to see a completely different identity for this team in 2026? And this is exactly where things start to get even more intense for the Denver Broncos, because when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, you begin to understand just how competitive this roster battle is going to be. We're talking about a unit that already has strong continuity, with 71 of 73 players from last season still connected to the roster in some capacity. That kind of stability is rare in the NFL, but it also creates a serious problem. It becomes extremely difficult for new players to break in. And yet, that's exactly what could happen in 2026. Let's start in the trenches on the defensive line, because that's where one of the biggest storylines is developing. Rookie Tyler Onyedem, coming out of Texas A&M, is not just expected to make the team, he's already being viewed as someone who could help fill the void left by John Franklin Myers. That's a huge expectation for a young player, but it tells you everything about how highly the coaching staff views him. Alongside him, you've got established names like Zach Allen, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, Iomi Uwazurike, and Iomi Uwazurike forming what is projected to be a 6-man defensive line rotation. The depth is there. The talent is there. But the real intrigue comes from how that rotation evolves during the season, especially if the rookie steps up early. Now shift your focus to the edge position, and this is where things get even more ruthless. The Broncos are expected to keep just 4 edge rushers: Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, Dondria Tillman, and K. Robinson. That leaves players like Drew Sanders potentially on the outside looking in, fighting for survival in a room that simply doesn't have space. And that decision? It's not random. The move of Jonah Ellis from edge to off-ball linebacker signals a clear strategic direction. The team is prioritizing versatility and maximizing roster spots. They're not just asking, who's talented? They're asking, who gives us the most flexibility? At linebacker, that philosophy becomes even clearer. With Alex Singleton and Justin Stranad locked in as starters, the Broncos are expected to carry 5 off-ball linebackers, including rookies like Red Murdoch and undrafted player Torrey York. This is one of the biggest opportunities for young players to make an impact immediately, especially on special teams. And speaking of the secondary, this might be one of the most stable groups on the entire roster. At cornerback, 5 spots seem almost locked: Pat Surtain 2, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillian, Jabari Mathis, and Chris Abrams-Drain. There's not much room here, which means if someone wants in, they'll have to take it. At safety, though, things get interesting again. Talanoa Hufanga, Brendan Jones, and Devin Key headline the group, but the battle for the final spots, possibly between Tyson Anderson and Miles Scott, could come down to preseason performance and special teams value. These are the kinds of battles that define the bottom half of the roster. And then we get to special teams, a unit that doesn't always get the spotlight, but right now, it's quietly one of the most intriguing areas on this team. Will Lutz is essentially a lock at kicker, and Jeremy Crawshaw has solidified his role as punter after a strong turnaround last season. But the real story? The long snapper position. Mitchell Fraboni has been consistent, reliable, exactly what you want at that position. But now, the Broncos have brought in rookie Luke Basso, and this isn't just a camp body. This is legitimate competition. Financial flexibility, age, and potential upside all come into play here, and for the first time in years, even this quiet position is under the microscope. And that's the theme of this entire roster: competition everywhere. There are no guaranteed spots at the bottom of this team. Veterans are being pushed. Rookies are being given real opportunities. And the front office is clearly building a roster that's not just talented, but adaptable and strategic in every sense. And this is where everything connects, because what we're seeing right now inside the Denver Broncos organization is not just a simple roster projection. It's a clear shift in mentality about how this team wants to compete moving forward. The biggest takeaway from all these battles, all these projections, and all these tough decisions is that nothing is being handed to anyone anymore. Think about it. Positions that used to feel automatic now have real tension. Depth players are no longer just depth, they're fighting for survival. And rookies? They're not being slowly developed in the background. They're being thrown into real competition from day one. That's why this 2026 offseason feels different. There's a sense that the Broncos are building something more sustainable. Not just relying on star power, but creating layers of competition across every unit. Offense, defense, and even special teams, every single phase has internal pressure. And that kind of environment, that's what brings out the best in a roster. We talked about the offense becoming more efficient with fewer but more impactful players. We saw how the defense is prioritizing versatility and rotation. And on special teams, even the smallest roles are being evaluated with precision. But here's the deeper layer that fans need to pay attention to. This level of competition also creates difficult cuts. Players who might have made the team easily in previous years could now be on the outside.